Hello, and welcome to this workshop. We're just waiting for people to sign in. So whilst that's happening, welcome. Um, like I say, my name is Alex. I'm based in the United Kingdom, in the West Country of England, in a town called Bideford in North Devon. So do let me know in the chat where you're connecting into today. It'd be great to know where you're based. Now, the thing about Devon is it's traditional, apparently, to argue about the about cream teas. You know, should you put the cream or the jam first on your buns? And well, because I live in Devon, I have to conform to what the locals like. So I basically I have to put the cream first, but that is not because I have anything against our neighbours in Cornwall. Um, I like Cornwall, and I wish to continue living in Devon. So great. So let's share the screen and let's get going with the meeting. Anybody else can catch up as they join. So just in case, I see somebody's popped a oh, Derby, excellent. So as we go, um, please do ask any questions as we go. Either pop them in the chat or to ensure that I answer them, please do pop them in the Q&A. Either of those places are fine. So let's share the screen and let's get going. So firstly, I'd like to check that you're in the right place. So today I'm talking about consultancy, specifically about how you can get paying customers. And at the end, you'll have the opportunity to learn more about the academy and working with me. So I have a few aims for today. I'd like to provide you with as much information as I can to tell you something about the academy I run and to invite you to ask questions as we go along. And like I say, either pop them in the chat as we go along, or if you'd like me to pick them up at the end, please do pop them into the Q&A. So on my journeys, there are reasons why I see people struggling. And the first one is assuming that customers are going to find us. Now, I think it's kind of dangerous to make this assumption. So maybe you're wondering how you do find customers. The sets of tools that are available. Yeah, I mean, what is it that workmen say about their tools? Maybe you're wondering what the right tools are. It's often said that technology, or more importantly for some, that artificial intelligence is going to be the savior of all of us. Well, maybe it is and maybe it isn't. And maybe you're wondering what the right balance is when it comes to using technology, in particular with travel. The travel market, well, it's changing all the time, right? And it may or may not be a level playing field, but maybe, it isn't always. But the thing is, the thing you might be wondering, what's the opportunities around the travel market? And there's a temptation, I think, to be to be the master of all when it comes to travel. And I've seen plenty of examples and some very, some very robust websites and information points that I've seen. But because the travel market is moving all the time, it may seem that this is an elusive target, something that's constantly out of reach or just out of reach. So maybe the question is, what should you focus on? So I'm wondering, which of these resonates with you? And because I like audience participation, let's have a quick poll because it'd be great to know what you think. So let me just bring it up and launch the poll because it'd be great to know, how you feel about these things. And depending on what your answers are, I may lean some of my um, conversations towards one area rather than another. So I'll be covering all of these subjects today, and I'm going to be bunching them up into three subjects, which I'm going to be mentioning in the not too distant future. So great. So we've had a few votes, or let's give you a few more moments, let everybody catch up. So we have a few votes for finding clients. Some of you are saying all of them. I have a vote for goals and strategies and one for your travel niche. So let's end the poll and show the results. God, it's exciting, isn't it? Showing off these polls. So thank you for taking part in that. Let's carry on. Okay, stop that. Close that. So this is a summary of the three things I was going to mention. So how might you strategize when running a travel consultancy? What kind of options do you have around optimizing? And what might your journey look like? So, but before we get there, who am I? Well, I'm the founder of the Seven Figure Traveler, and my vision is to democratize travel. And what this means is, the freedom that we all enjoy is something that can help travel become more accessible. And it's increasingly become possible because we're now in a time of great awareness. Travelers now are looking for new experiences, but they're also looking to connect with the countries and destinations that they're going to. And some are wishing to take it a step further and form relationships with the people that they meet when they go away. And this is why, it's a privilege to explore our world. The world is extensive, but it's also a reminder of its diversity. It contains challenges, but it also contains hidden gems. And my goal today is to give you practical knowledge and strategies, whether you're starting out or you're striving to build up your existing business. Because, you deserve to build a sustainable business with paying customers. Now, at first glance, it may seem unrelated, having a background in IT and sport. But the thing is, it's given me a unique perspective around travel, plus an understanding of the importance of effective planning and using the right technology. You see, every detail matters, and I'm going to show you how you can leverage these skills. And honing what works and what doesn't, I've realized that it's often the voice of the traveler which is unheard. Therefore, my mission is to change and amplify your unique voice and experience so that together we can bring out the best version of you, whether you're looking for personal fulfillment or building a travel consultancy you wish to be proud of. So how does that sound? Does it make sense having something to be proud of? So why is now the right time to be exploring this? Let me just bring up the chat. Well, we all know there's been a pandemic and one or two lockdowns. But of course, what this did, from a travel perspective, was to build up a huge amount of desire. It was a bit like an old-fashioned kettle that you just put on a fire or a hot plate, and eventually it would just whistle and produce steam out of control. Something I liked to do as a kid. And because this desire is so strong, it's still a great time to be monetizing travel. And to take no action is the equivalent of missing out. No, sure, you can wait until a more convenient time, but when's it going to be like this again? It's a bit like the story of the tree. When was the best time to plant one? 20 years ago. When's the next time? Well, now. But perhaps you're not thinking about that. Maybe you're just wondering what you can, what's your potential? Well, it depends. It depends how much effort you're willing to put in, how much time you're willing to invest, and are you willing to invest in yourself? Because in 6 to 9 months, you could make, good money out of this. And, it's true that there are opportunities all around, but maybe you've got concerns around, maybe the market, the industry is really competitive. But if all you had to do was to differentiate, wouldn't that make a difference? But perhaps isn't there, economic uncertainty? Well, if you could provide yourself with something that was stable and, lucrative and provided you with security, wouldn't that be a good reason? The thing is, right now, travelers are being underserved, and it kind of harks back to this, when uh, people were forced into lockdown. In the UK, we called it furloughing. We had to give it a different word, didn't we? And the consequences of it is that businesses, not just in the travel industry, became invisible. And this became this perception that a lot of businesses were overusing technology, almost some kind of disconnect, businesses becoming invisible. But if you look at this photograph of planes at a busy airport, we all accept, don't we, that there's a lot of technology packed into aircraft, but they still have pilots, they still have people that serve you on board. It still requires people to load and offload your luggage and the food. I mean, there's even people that drive trucks dragging planes around the airfield. But it doesn't seem, there doesn't seem to be this balance of humans and technology in the travel industry. It may be in reality, but the perception has become skewed. And this is why, it is a great opportunity to be running a travel business. So let's have a look into part one, and let's get into that. So there's something that I've found that people are unclear on a few things, and it revolves around three things. How you can have a well-defined structure, how you can navigate complex roadmaps, and how you can put together a strong support system that acts as a guide. And without any of these things, it can be the equivalent of being cast adrift, unsure about how to build, a successful travel business or consultancy. So let's have a look at each of these. So what do we mean by structure? Well, it means establishing clear goals and objectives, the what and the why. It means it means making choices about your target market. Because if you miss some of these things out, you can miss out on your unique value and your growth potential. And without them, you can have feelings of being overwhelmed and wondering how to grow your business. No, it's not the only kind of structure because, uh, a lot of people are wondering, how do I grow business? And, it's essentially about understanding where your people come from. No, you don't need to, know everything in amazing detail to start with, but it's about not taking, not leaving things to chance. Now, when I was working with John, he had no idea, where to begin. He knew he loved travel, but he was unsure how to turn his passion into a direction. And the main thing he was struggling with was asking the right questions to potential clients. So when we worked together, we worked on what I call, asking and listening, uh, to help him frame those questions. And essentially, it's about building relationships through conversation. And if you've ever struggled, keeping conversations going, I always think of the three W's and the H, the what, the when, the where, and the how. So let's have a look at a few examples where asking questions could be important. Now, if you were, so, you had clients wanting to go on a tennis group holiday, um, they may like the restaurants, but they may not be keen on taking taxi rides. Now, you could ask them what resorts they like, but if you want to tease out the taxi ride issues, you need to be asking questions around the important facilities that your clients will be seeking in the resorts that they're visiting or would like to visit. Maybe you have clients who love small islands, but are not great on small planes. You might ask them when they want to go, but if you want to ensure that they have a smooth ride, you also need to be asking questions about the aspects of travel they prefer to avoid. Now, a lot of people, they do have favorite brands. So you might ask your clients about the chains they like using. However, if you want to be able to enhance their experience, you also need to be asking about the optional extras, perhaps the special occasions that they wish to, celebrate when they're away. And it's, essentially asking questions is a whole series of things. Yeah. You're building up a picture. And when it's done well, it's sometimes referred to as predictive service. But I think the real magic is asking the right questions. And I'm pleased to report that John is now much more comfortable asking questions. So I hope asking questions makes sense. Let me know in the comments if you think asking the right questions does make sense. So let's have a look at the next section, which is about roadmaps. So we've talked a little about relationships, but roadmaps are more than this, right? It's about identifying the niche that you wish to operate in, your target market, planning, marketing, finance, and compliance. It's a system to avoid potholes. Now, nobody likes driving over them, so why would you accept them anywhere else? And, a series of steps, if you miss some of them out, you can run aground, right? And not having all the steps is a bit like having a jigsaw with some of the pieces missing. You might miss the whole picture or the whole thing, could potentially fall apart. So following a roadmap is knowing, the existence of the roadmap, but also it's about knowing what all the right elements are and about going deeper when you need to. A few things I get told quite regularly is that there's rather a lot of information and a lot of noise out on the internet, and it has the potential, doesn't it, to affect people's confidence. And some of the things that help in this regard is to focus on an area of travel that means the most to you, and and follow steps towards a specific outcome. Another area that often gets overlooked is the role that travel consultants play. A few years ago, I had the privilege of visiting a desert in Western Australia. And the thing about it is that you really do can appreciate both its beauty and its isolation, but you don't necessarily know what it took to put on these journeys. Now, it's not about scaring the punters, it's simply being mindful about what it takes to put on journeys. Now, the thing that I remember most about it is having got out of the coach and amazed, was amazed at the sheer depth of the color red and looking at the road, the dusty road disappearing into the shimmering distance. When I eventually stopped wondering where the road was going, I looked at the coach and saw that there was a pipe outside the coach. There was a satellite dish, and there was enough food and water in the back of the coach to sustain 50 people for days on end. So, it's just about being mindful. But there's another side of mindfulness, isn't there? We can spend so much time looking after other people that we can forget about ourselves. We're just as important as the people we're looking at after. You deserve a roadmap as much as the next person. And this was kind of what was happening to a lady called Joyce. And she had a single travel shop, and she made the decision that she wanted to have a second shop. And she hired staff, but she couldn't understand why she couldn't hold on to any of her staff. She was kind of fixated about how the how her shops should be run, and as a result, she struggled to keep her staff. So when we worked together, we worked on what I call trust and process, and essentially, it's about letting go a little. Uh, you know, it's a scary thing if you've not done it before, to let go of some control. But essentially, it's about giving people that work with you a much broader perspective of the business that you're running. Um, because look at it this way: if you trust someone enough to hire them, you should be able to trust them enough to allow them to gain a broader outlook, because it's all about gaining new experiences. It's just as important for the people you work with as yourself to bring a new sets of eyes to the business you're running. And let us not forget that we all started being encouraged, didn't we? When we were the smaller versions of ourselves, it was all about new experiences. Yeah. Um, I wish I had a plane like that. And it shouldn't stop, should it? When you cease being an adult, and certainly when you start running a business, it is all about new experiences, and embracing that is a really important habit to get into. And now Joyce can hardly be seen in a second shop. She trusts her people so much, and what a transformation it can make to business, just having a different outlook on and being willing to embrace new experiences. Okay, so now that we've looked at the importance of having a structure and a well-defined roadmap, let's now look at the next vital pillar of support, next pillar, which is called support. And support can be both exciting and challenging, but of course it does need to be the right kind. Now, support is more than just about getting people unstuck. It's about plugging into a network of individuals, that can help you navigate uncharted waters, to provide you mentorship and guidance. Because, without this kind of input, you can be left with gaps in your knowledge, challenges, and you may miss opportunities. And it's worth remembering that a support journey is not meant to be solitary. it's there to provide you with the very assistance in ways that can help you grow and navigate and find opportunities. So next, we're going to go a bit deeper and more specific about how you can transform your business ambitions. And when I worked with a gentleman called Jason, he was worried that his travelers were telling him they weren't feeling listened to. And basically it harked back to the subject I brought up earlier about lockdowns, about, businesses being forced to go into, to adjust and retreat online. And when we worked together, we worked on the power of listening and being willing to ask a question and shut up. Because the thing about clients is, they're very smart individuals, really, and they like to go off and do things themselves, and a lot do, don't they? But the thing is, they're also a great source of information. But the smart ones, are but a section of potential clients. You have clients who are prepared to do the small trips, but not do the more complicated ones. And you've got clients who are not confident at all and would prefer that you did everything for them. But the thing that they all have in common is that, generally speaking, they don't have an amazing amount of time. And this is, something that we in our profession can give back. Giving back time is something, a very important thing that we can provide other people. And this is something that Jason has a much, better understanding. You can't help everybody, but those you can, it's about providing them with their, time for their journeys. So let's summarize this section by just highlighting a few things. So customers are looking, to have a connection with the people they buy from. It's really important. And because they are looking for this, how that works with actually connecting with us is the fact that we are all unique. And this is something customers like. And why it's important, or rather the consequences of it, is that, it's important to be visible. Visibility is incredibly important. And I shall be repeating it again, because when it's done correctly, customers really appreciate this. Now, before I pop on to the next slide, I wanted to mention a number to you. 5 billion. And that is the number of people that are expected to step foot on an aeroplane at least once before the end of this calendar year. And to put that another way, that's 5 out of every 8 people on Earth. And it's going to be more people than ever before in human history. So, that's incredible. It's an incredible number of people, but it also highlights, as I said earlier, that, the 3 out of people who don't, they also, they deserve some kind of accessibility to travel. And it's the 5 with the increased interest in, awareness that can help more of the 3 to at least have that opportunity. Now, at the end of this session, I'm going to be offering the chance to have a chat to me. And essentially, it's about being open to change, talking about a process, about how you can find paying customers or more paying customers, and how you can work with me and get answers to some of the questions. And essentially, it's about being willing to stop everything else and commit to one thing and trust a process. So the question I'd like to ask you is, are you getting enough paying customers? Is this something that you wish to fix? And if you do, today I'm offering 10 spaces, 10 slots in my calendar to to come and chat to me. So if you'd like to take one of those, then all you have to do is to follow the URL at the bottom, or hover your phone over the barcode. Or I don't know, actually they call it a QR code these days, isn't it? Yes, barcode somewhere else. So yes, so I just want to make sure you can see this QR code. Let me know in the comments if you can, because if you don't have your phone nearby, this QR code is going to be on quite a few of the number of slides. So don't worry if you don't have your phone nearby. So let's carry on to the next section. Part 2, how might you optimize your business? And it comes in 2 parts. So you can adjust and you can refine. So what do we mean by adjusting? Well, it means how to achieve your optimum potential, or to put it another way, to strategically adjust. And one area I'm finding which is ineffective is personal visibility. And the consequences of not being visible is not being able to engage or establish trust and authority with your customers. And it's essentially missing the chance to create a personal brand. Now, if you're sitting there thinking it's a crowded market, well, maybe you just need to be more specific. So why not instead think of specificity and visibility? They're like a bunch of keys, really. If you have them and you use them, it's like a passport to another world. And one thing I always used to think was that window shopping was a made-up thing. So I determined to go to my local high street to find out if it really happens. So out I went, and I chose a business that had products and services I was reasonably interested in. And in I went, and I turned round, and pretty soon people were staring through the windows. Now, there is a psychology to this, because if someone is willing to put their nose up against a window, they've already made a kind of soft decision about the products and services. Now, what they want to know is if they like the people that are selling said products and services. Yeah, it's really, it's really quite important. And so, therefore, visibility takes on, it takes on a much higher level of importance. And it's all of these things listed. But the most important thing it's doing is getting people to make decisions. Now, nobody likes being surrounded by people who can't make decisions. So the differences are, it's fairly straightforward in a physical shop environment. You can simply say, well, I've just got to be okay with people walking past the window. But it's different, isn't it? In an online scenario, visibility takes on a new level of importance. So the second part of this is content. So what kind of content would be important to back up visibility? Well, you don't want it to be vague or confusing. Let's bust some myths here. You don't want to be the same as everybody else. You don't want to be matching other people. So content, a little bit like visibility, is a collection of, aspects and elements that you need to include. But the most important element it serves is also to get people to make decisions. And this is something that I worked with a lady called Chloe, who had sent some of her clients to the lovely West Country city of Bristol in the southwest of England. It's a city of hills and a famous bridge by Isambard Kingdom Brunel. But the problems didn't begin until our clients were coming back on the return journey by train. You know, it was a day which everything that could go wrong did go wrong. Firstly, for some reason, some human beings wanted to invade the railway tracks. Once this had been sorted, the train eventually arrived at the city of Exeter and promptly broke down. And all attempts by local officials to provide other replacement trains also failed. And this was because it was an unusual day. It was what they call an excessive heat day. Yeah. And so when I worked with Chloe, we worked together on what I call adjusting and preparing. And essentially, it's all about how you react to change. And there's two aspects to this. Okay. So she could have just advised her clients to wait an hour, and maybe there would have been other services. But the other aspect of it is it's about setting proper expectations, and those expectations need to be set in advance of any journeys that take place, because what your clients are looking for when they get in touch with you is what they want most is to hear a calm voice at the end of the line, because that's really important. Is to set the proper expectations. And one of the things you need to consider is, do railway companies always suffer in excessive heat scenarios? And if you believe the answer is yes, then having alternative plans up your sleeve is highly desirable in that scenario. So that was adjusting. Let's have a look at refining. So what might we be talking about refining? Well, these are the smaller aspects. And when I visited a West Country airport, it's a regional airport. It has a reasonable number of people who use it, around 10 million a year. There's a dozen airlines that serve the airport, with one in particular, which is the dominant airline. And on the day that I visited its bright and airy terminal, there was already tension in the air. I could hear, the sound of trolleys bumping into other trolleys. Voices were being raised. And, my first impression was, my goodness, by the time these people get to the front of the queue, they're going to need a second trip to get over the first trip they haven't gone on yet. So how might this is how might this have occurred differently? Well, they could have shown up a little bit earlier in the day when perhaps the queues were shorter. Perhaps this airline has online check-in, and all they had to do was to drop their luggage off in a separate queue. But if you have any knowledge of low-cost airlines, you'll probably know that you're lucky to get a seat, let alone any other kind of service. So it's about having knowledge of your clients, right? If they look like nervous or impatient clients, it's worth considering sending them, even if it's another hour or two to another airport. It's got to be worth sending them on a longer journey to begin with, to get the service, the products and services that match their expectations. Because the thing is, if you're going somewhere on business, you want to arrive in a state of readiness, yes, to be the best person that you can be. If you're going on holiday or a vacation, you want to arrive in a relaxed state of mind to enjoy everything that destination is going to be, has to offer. And I know the temptation is, when you've got your clients to agree on a trip and they've signed the bottom line, the temptation is this: thanks very much, bye. But really, it pays to have conversations. And really, we're in the travel business, right? And the best time to have a conversation uh, with people is when they've made that decision. And just having a normal conversation, it's probably going to be their favorite subject. They've just made the decision to go on a trip. And when they get going, they drop all kinds of, gems about, how they travel, who they travel with. Um, it's really worth the investment of additional time with your customers to find out, the requirements you didn't pick up earlier in the conversation uh, when you were, you know, joining, when you first met. And it's really about, how you manage change because um, it is said, that change is inevitable, but the real thing is, how we react to change is entirely optional. And if you know, and that's really where this conversation really has a great deal of strength, is knowing um, how your clients or how your prospective clients may react in certain situations. You can guide them in a certain direction. So I hope that makes sense. Change is inevitable, um, but how we react to it is what's important when it comes to looking after our clients. And when it comes to clients, we certainly want to be in front of the ideal clients. But what do we mean by showing off? Well, really, it's all about showing how good you are. And that's really, showing how good is about providing prospective clients with enough confidence that you can provide the service that you specialize in. And by specializing, you are able to personalize. And personalization is what, makes you different. And that is what differentiates you, the service you provide when you look after people. And one thing, I always like to encourage is to encourage your clients to send you their pictures and videos of their trips. Now, it's not about catching people out. The thing is, we've all looked at the glossy brochures. It's always got, perfect sunsets, the sandy beaches, the swimming pools are always full. There's always space to lounge by the pool. It never rains. Um, so knowing what's actually happening is something that you can, it's information you can use because um, you don't only have a relationship with clients, you have a relationship with the people providing, there are service providers, aren't there? And it's not about catching them out either. Now, we don't have um, much time to discuss this particular aspect, but the thing is, if you're getting a different picture, it's allowing your providers the opportunity, if necessary, to correct it in live time. It's an opportunity for them to work with their uh, you know on their connections and relationships to improve the services that are being provided for your clients. It's a collaborative effort, and the fact that your clients are willing to share their pictures and videos, you're acting on their behalf, and they will like you being on their side, and that's really, a good flow, a collaborative flow is an important uh, element of the whole process. And when it comes to technology, we all know about the big players. We all had experience of Amazon and Apple, and the thing that they are renowned for is being quick, responsive. Um, they they offer service on mobile devices, and a lot of us spend our whole lives, don't we, on mobile devices these days. And when it comes to the travel experience, the technology you use is just as important, because one of the elements that will encourage clients is them being willing to stay on the technology you provide for a little bit longer. That experience is is as important as you. Yeah. And it's all about moments. I think it's all about moments. So if you are organizing a trip to a Champagne region, use the right word, you'll be wanting to share photographs and videos of people enjoying sampling champagne, so that by the time it's your client's turn to do the same for themselves, they've already counted all the bubbles. Yeah, that's what it's kind of about. Not that I'm saying that I like champagne. So let's summarize this section by just highlighting a few things here. Now, visibility is really important, and in the online world, it's more important than ever. You certainly need to focus on the area that matters to you. And sure, you want to be where your customers are, because when you are, you can personalize and make the difference for people. And when you get into that mindset of being different, it really boils down to the way you look after people. And the technical experience, well, you need to be full stop, you need to offer people a good experience, but you also need to be offering people a good technical experience. So let's jump into the last section and talk about how your journey, what it might look like. Well, the thing is, there's always been travelers, and ever since, the smaller version of myself went to this airport many years ago, and this particular place, it had a building called the Queen's Building. And where I'm standing, I'm looking down onto an area which contained a tuck shop, very important. But the most exciting element of it was that it had loads of speakers blaring out the conversations between pilots and air traffic controllers. And where I was stood, I had almost a 360 view of the whole airfield. It was really exciting, and it really made you want to travel. And when you do travel, it's something that gets inside of you. It never ends, because once you've traveled, it gets you to make decisions about where you like, where you're not going to go to, and what you're going to do next. And this is an example of how airports used to be, a departure gate. We think of long corridors and numbers and letters, but this, this is a good example of how it used to be. You could literally just walk off the street right up to there to the tarmac, and when it was ready to depart, somebody would wander down the steps, check your tickets, and you could wander off and board your aircraft. And in this particular example, the stairs were built into the rear of the aircraft. And if there was a bit of a queue, when it was your turn to board, these built-in stairs could be quite bouncy. And if you got stuck waiting for people to get in their seat, you could experience air turbulence without before you'd even left. Now, the sharp-eyed amongst you might have noticed a bicycle in front of the stairs. Well, this is what was described as fire retardant equipment. It always makes me smile, because I would like to have seen the advert for this. Only fit people need apply. Anyway, hopefully the fire department at Dubrovnik has much improved. And the thing about journeys is they are as unique as we are. I remember, when I was on this boat with my grandfather, Um, he'd been in the Navy and he was a submariner in the first half of the 20th century before most people did travel. And well, I was a typical kid. I would stand up and uh, tell my grandfather I was the captain and maybe he should scrub the decks. But he would, of course, would just sit at there quite happily chuckling to himself. And, sadly, I didn't get to know him as an adult, but I'd love to have known, where his memories were taking him, because, you know, our journeys never leave us, right? We're always thinking about the journeys we've been on. And the great power of our minds is that we not only think about the journeys we've been on, we think about the ones we're going to go on. And when it comes to these journeys, we're much more in control of them than we think. Yeah. There's more than just physical beginnings and endings. How we think about journeys is really important. It's not just the journeys and the destinations. It's how we think and prepare uh, and handle the whole experience. Okay, so the point of the day is not to make you like me, is to tell you the truth. And I hope that's okay because, in my opinion, a lot of people are wasting their time, doing so much work and, not getting the results is not, it's not a great feeling, yeah. And the one thing I get told, that matters is that they have a lack of a roadmap. And well, in my experience, there are two kinds of people I get to meet in the academy. One is, experienced people who, what they need is, a proper sense of direction. And the other kind of people are people who need everything. But in reality, we're all somewhere in between. And it's about visiting all the ports of call if you're going on a cruise, you don't want to miss any of them out. And I do have, I have a start, but I have outcomes in this academy. And the reasons outcomes are important is that if you don't know what your outcome is, it's going to be difficult to achieve it. It's a really important element. And this is, uh, you won't be surprised to hear, is why I always start students on defining what that outcome is. And its purpose is about filling gaps in knowledge. So it's not believing that customers will simply just find you. It's using the number of tools that are appropriate. It's yes, technology is important, but it's about finding the right balance. Yeah, understanding about the travel market is important, but do you need to know everything? Yeah. And one thing that I often see is that people don't really have a way of establishing what's working, what isn't. Measuring. If you don't measure what you do, how do you know if you're succeeding or not? And it's an important element of it. And the way we handle it is by setting lots of plans and having checklists because it's an important part of achieving your goals. Another element that we encourage people to take part in is a community. Yeah, so you're not only looking to build a community of your own, but getting other people's perspective is really important. Gaining knowledge. You might, and indeed, you may even meet people that are similar to yourself. But the thing is, because they have their own perspective, they will attract their clients. You will have your perspective, and you will attract your clients. So a community has many purposes, but it's about gaining knowledge, but also gaining perspective. And that's really important. And down the road, of course, the more experience you gain, you'll be able to give back to said community. Now, another area is that at some point you may wish to expand your business. Now, it might just be that you want to get to a certain level, but it'd be nice to have people helping you. You may wish to expand the business. Now, the traditional way of doing this is to either hire freelancers maybe, or even to have your own staff. But an alternative that we're looking at is to, build up a specialist service. Because the thing about travel is, well, it's such a global thing, isn't it, these days? And, you know, our needs, we've got needs too. We need to eat and we need to sleep. But your customers might be on the other side of the world. So how might they be served? Well, an option may be there in the future for you to plug into an additional service, should you wish to. So how might your journey look like? Well, it's been shown how to do it properly, and it's about doing it from the moment you join. It's about learning and applying knowledge as you go, because that we've found is a very effective way. It's really is turning strangers into best friends, because if you're willing to follow lots of steps, you can make good money in 6 to 9 months. But in order to get there, you need to build a process. Yeah, it's about gaining confidence, about participating in the travel market. It's using all the tools that are necessary, not necessarily all of them. It is about building relationships, and that as a process is the route to turning people into best friends. And using your human touch and delivering experiences is an important element of this. And another element is specializing in the area that you wish to focus on, and also is something which your customers are looking for. And when you add up all these things, it adds up to, you as a package that are able to craft things, prepare for situations, to adapt, to be responsive, and above all, to deliver the value that your customers are looking for. Now, you don't need to be, to achieve it, you don't need to be the master of everything. You just need a process and a plan, right? Now, I know how passionate you are about travel, and, you deserve to get good results, which is why I'm offering this opportunity today. It's an online only opportunity. So if you'd like me to personally help you gain consistent clients, then this may be for you. And what I've done is to create this roadmap for you to follow. And it will enable you to improve your visibility, to really enhance listening, to focus on the area that means the most to you, to bring out the uniqueness that we all have in us. And what we want most of all is to be in front of ideal clients. And what you need is a proper roadmap to get you there, to be willing to follow steps and plans, to provide feedback and receive feedback, to take an active part of a community, and down the road, should you wish to plug your business into a team of specialists. So what do we provide in this academy? Well, it's 12 months access. It's all the feedback you need. It's all the resources you need. It's accountability, because we all need a bit of a push. There's weekly calls with myself. It's access to the community, and it's the option of plugging in a support specialist down the road, should you believe that is suitable for your business. And it's all for a monthly subscription, and it's only available online. And if you wish to find out if it's something for you, all you need to do is to either follow the web URL bit.ly, that is bit.ly/traveler-discovery, or hover your phones over the QR code. So just a reminder of what's in the package. It's it's a 12-month package. It's all the feedback, it's all the resources, it's the accountability, it's the weekly calls, it's the community, and the option of specialists. Now, because I know how important establishing outcomes are, what I'm offering is for the first 5 that actually join the academy, I'm going to be offering an additional clarity call because, it is such a foundational thing that, I'm willing to provide you extra time. So if you want to be um, in the first 5, then you just need to join the academy. So we are approaching the end of our time together, and I just wanted to um, sum up a few questions and perhaps highlight a few things I get asked a lot. And um, some of these include, um, the cost. Now, everything costs something, and it may feel expensive, but the question really is how much is it costing you not to get what you want? Some people worry about how much time they need to divert to a new academy. Will you have enough time? But the thing you ought to ask yourself is, well, how much time are you spending on other things that aren't working? Making decisions is something some people, they worry about. But the thing is, we all have situations, don't we, where when we're forced to make a decision, we make it. A good example is, you're waiting for a train. When it arrives, the doors open and you have the choice to board or not to board. Now, it's not, generally speaking, it's not a good idea to put one foot on the train and leave one foot on the platform because, the guard will blow their whistle and, they will say, board or not board, we're leaving. But in other situations, we can wonder. And I always say, when it comes to, bigger decisions, I always think it's better to know whether you would succeed than not to do something and never know whether you would have succeeded. Because I think in knowing is a very powerful way of approaching most things. Because I think in most cases, people who are prepared to do stuff will, at the very least, be moving forward. And that's a highly, reputable way to proceed. Now, I get it. This isn't for everyone. And the reason it might be is because, it requires effort, and effort, is important. It can't be, it can't be done alone without effort. But if you like telling stories, this is something that makes, travel happen for other people. And if you'd like to be known for something, the only real way to become something is to become it. Now, the thing about the academy is that we describe it as a done with you, because we want people to succeed. It's not, this is, this piece of information, just get on with it. We like to do it with people because we want people to reach, reach the outcomes that they desire to reach. And it's all about learning the process to get paying clients. And if you're prepared to tell stories, this is a very powerful element in the travel business. Alrighty, so I'd like to thank you very much for being with us. If you need to shoot off, that's absolutely fine. Let me just see if there are any questions. See if there's what we got in the Q&A. Oh, okay, well, we don't seem to have any outstanding questions. So thank you very much for coming on today. Most appreciate your time. And like I say, if it'll be a pleasure to have a chat to you if you wish to. Have an amazing day. uh, and we'll see you soon. All right. Lovely to meet you all. Bye bye.